Let's go Dolphins! The bombshell that could destroy everything in Miami is about to drop, and you'll want to hear it through to the end. The kind of rumor that leaves any Dolphins fan speechless. Imagine, for a second, the Miami Dolphins, in the midst of the Super Bowl race, considering signing one of their biggest offensive stars. No, you didn't make the wrong choice. I'm talking about Jaylen Waddle. Yes, number 17. One of the league's most explosive players may have his days numbered in South Florida. And worst of all of this is happening while Chris Greer, who should already be out of office, continues to make decisions that no one understands. What's going on behind the scenes is serious, and I'll tell you everything, every sordid detail, so you'll understand why the fans are starting to lose their patience. But before you get to the point, if you're a true Miami Dolphins fan, get on that like button, show that you're part of our aqua and orange squad. And I want to see everyone in the comments writing, "Go Dolphins!" Now, definitely, because what I have to tell you about Jaylen Waddle and this possible trade nonsense will make you angry. The whispers around Jaylen Waddle are no longer just whispers. There's real concern in the air that he could be on the move before the November 4th NFL trade deadline. This all started when Connor Hughes of SNY reported that the New York Giants are big game hunting for a wide receiver to support rookie quarterback Jackson Dart. And while that alone isn't alarming, what followed is names started being floated around. Chris Olave, Jacoby Myers, and yes, our very own Jaylen Waddle. Fans on social media ran wild with speculation, and while some of it felt like fanfiction, there's a disturbing level of traction here. Sources indicate the Giants are serious. Another well-connected name, Ricky Scoops, formerly known as Pretty Ricky, popped out of Twitter retirement to drop a bombshell. According to him, the Patriots are being aggressive, the Saints are open to moving Olave, the Raiders are shopping Myers, and the Dolphins, brace yourselves, could be setting up a fire sale. Not only are Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb mentioned as potential trade chips, but Miami is reportedly receiving calls on both Jaylen Waddle and Devon Achane. Let me be clear, that doesn't mean Miami is actively negotiating trades involving Waddle or Achane. But it does mean this front office isn't slamming the phone down when the topic comes up. That alone is a red flag, and the buzz doesn't stop there. Giants reporter Ryan Dunleavy said there's more than a 50% chance New York makes a move for a wide receiver before the deadline. Their offense might be struggling at 2-4, but with a young QB and Malik Neighbors sidelined by injury, they're clearly looking for a long-term asset, and Waddle fits that mold perfectly. Here's where it gets downright insulting. A reported offer floating around from Marshall Green and echoed by other sources suggests the Giants might try to land Jaylen Waddle for a 2026 second-round pick and a 2027 fifth-round pick. That's not just low, that's laughable. It's disrespectful to the player, the fans, and to anyone who understands how an NFL value actually works. Waddle isn't some rotational piece or unproven talent. He's a foundational player, one of the best young wide receivers in the game. Let's run the numbers. Jaylen Waddle is only 26 years old. He's had over 1,000 receiving yards in every season except one, and the only reason he didn't hit that mark last year was because he had to catch passes from backups like Tyler Huntley, Tim Boyle, and Skylar Thompson in 6 games. He's entering the first year of a very team-friendly 3-year extension. In 2025, his cap hit will be just 3.8% of the salary cap, an absolute bargain considering his production. That jumps to around 10% in 2027 and 2028. But by then, considering the inflation of wide receiver contracts and the cap overall, he'll still be fairly priced or even a steal. Need some context? T. Higgins just got $30 million per year. Waddle is arguably a more complete receiver, and with the way contracts are trending, $35 to $40 million per year will soon be the norm for elite WRs. So when Miami already has Waddle locked in on a bargain deal, the idea of trading him for anything less than a first-round pick should be off the table. Hell, even considering a trade at all is borderline malpractice. And let's not forget what he does on the field. His speed is electric, top 5 in the league. But that's not all. His route running has taken massive strides, especially in the intermediate game. He's dangerous at every level of the field. Is he perfect? No. He's had his share of drops. He's not the guy you throw it up to in triple coverage and hope for a miracle. But he's a matchup nightmare for defenses every single week. And when Tyreek Hill was out recently, Waddle stepped up with 205 yards, 12 receptions, and a touchdown over just 2 games. Against defenses that had only one thing to worry about, stopping Jaylen Waddle, they still couldn't do it. And this is the guy fans think is worth a second and a fifth? Because here's the reality, once you trade away a player like Jaylen Waddle, you don't just replace him. That kind of dynamic playmaker doesn't grow on trees. And don't let anyone tell you, oh, but we have Tyreek Hill or we can draft another guy. That's not how it works in the NFL. For every wide receiver that hits like a Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase, there are dozens of first-round WRs that end up as depth pieces or complete busts. You're not guaranteed anything in the draft, especially when you're talking about trading away a proven talent like Waddle, who is already producing at a high level. Let's also talk about timing. If the Dolphins were 1-5 and the season was already in the trash, maybe you start looking ahead and try to accumulate assets. But Miami is in the middle of a win-now window. Tua is healthy. Tyreek is still one of the most feared weapons in the game. The defense, despite its injuries, is starting to find rhythm. And most importantly, Mike McDaniel has a system that works when it has speed and spacing. You take away Waddle, and suddenly, every defense collapses on Tyreek. The threat disappears. The chessboard shrinks. You don't sell off your weapons when you're trying to contend, not unless you're getting something absolutely insane in return. And again, a 2026 second and a 2027 fifth? That's not just disrespectful, it's criminal. No GM who understands roster value should even entertain that. But somehow, Chris Greer still has a job, and with him at the helm, nothing would surprise me. We've seen him make reckless decisions before. We've seen him reach, panic, and fumble the bag. Trading Waddle would just be another stain on his already controversial legacy. And if we're being honest, how would that move sit in the locker room? Because you better believe players watch these things. Tua's already dealt with enough questions about his future, about whether the franchise believes in him. You ship out one of his top targets, one of his guys, for some meaningless future picks, and what message are you sending? We're not all in. We're not building around our core. We're cutting corners. Guys like Tyreek didn't come here to rebuild. They came to win. And sending Waddle out the door mid-season tells them, we're not serious. That's the kind of move that creates unrest in a locker room, that kills momentum, that makes free agents think twice about coming to Miami. Because if you're willing to trade a 26-year-old rising star under a team-friendly deal, what won't you do? And it's not like the team is deep at wide receiver either. Sure, you've got Tyreek, but after that, Braxton Berrios, River Crocraft, Cedric Wilson, good depth, not stars. Eric Ezukanma hasn't broken out. Malik Washington is still learning. None of these guys strike fear into a defense the way Waddle does. Take him away, and now you're relying on an aging Tyreek and a bunch of role players. That's not a Super Bowl formula. That's a team begging to be one and done in the playoffs, if they make it at all. Here's something else to consider. If you're fielding calls on guys like Waddle and a chain, what does that say about the Dolphins' front office mindset? Are we being lied to about this team's direction? Because Mike McDaniel is coaching like a man on a mission. He's going for it on fourth down, running creative sets, and maximizing the offensive weapons he has. Meanwhile, the front office might be pulling in the opposite direction, thinking about the cap, about draft picks, about the future. That's a dangerous disconnect. You can't say we're building to win now and then trade away Jalen Waddle for draft picks that won't even matter until 2026. That's not how championship teams operate. That's how confused franchises stay stuck in the mud. The Bills went all in. The Eagles, all in. The 49ers, all in. You don't see those teams shopping their core weapons mid-season because they understand what it takes to actually win in this league. And then there's the emotional side. Waddle isn't just a playmaker, he's a fan favorite. He's the guy kids watch in awe, doing the Waddle dance in the end zone. He's the jersey you see everywhere at Hard Rock Stadium. Trading him sends a message to the fans, too, that the front office is out of touch with what this team means to its community. This isn't just about stats and contracts. It's about identity. Jalen Waddle is a part of the Dolphins' identity.